Valley. Welcome. We're glad you joined us today. And we're going to ask those of you here in the congregation to please rise as you are able and join us in our opening song, I'm Choosing Heaven Today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing beauty. I'm choosing beauty today. I'm choosing beauty today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing beauty today. I choose compassion. I choose compassion today. I choose compassion today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I choose compassion today. I choosing grace today. I'm choosing grace today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing grace today. I'm choosing life. I'm choosing life today. I'm choosing life today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing life today. I'm choosing joy. I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing joy today. I choose abundance today. I choose abundance today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing abundance today. I'm choosing heaven. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. One more time. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. Amen.
Good morning. Good morning. So I had something different picked out for an opening prayer, and then my friend texted me this as her words of wisdom for this morning, and I like this better. So let's take a deep breath, settle in. I attract love, joy, and soul-nourishing experiences with ease. My spirit is open, my heart is full, and life brings me beautiful adventures that exceed my dreams. Indeed it does. Amen.
Good morning. Welcome to Unity of the Lehigh Valley.
Good morning.
My name is Dale. I'm honored to serve as your platform assistant today, alongside our music leader, Anthony Young, our senior minister, Reverend Ron Karstetter, and our prayer chaplain, Joey Berry. Whether you're joining us here in the sanctuary or connecting with us online, we are grateful that you have chosen to spend this sacred time with us. We trust that something in today's service will uplift your spirit, open your heart, and remind you the presence and power of God within you. To our online community, thank you for being with us. If today's message touches your heart, we invite you to share it with others. And at the conclusion of the service, please let us know in the comments if there's anything we can do to enhance your online experience. Your presence and participation are valued. As I look around the sanctuary this morning, I see many familiar faces. People who I have become to cherish, members of this spiritual family. Thank you for your continued presence, your loving support, and for helping create a welcoming, inclusive, and spiritual nourishing community that is the unity of Lehigh Valley. And now, whether you are here in person or joining us from afar, let us begin by affirming together that this day is a gift. This gathering is sacred, and this time together will be a blessing. The quality of our lives reflects the quality of our consciousness. The thoughts we hold, the beliefs we embrace, and the words we speak all contribute to the awareness from which we meet each moment. Our affirmative statements express our principles, vision, and mission, and guide our community. They remind us of our spiritual nature and our shared commitment to living from love, wisdom, and compassion. I invite everyone in the sanctuary and online to join me in speaking these words aloud. As we affirm spiritual truth together, we strengthen our awareness of divine within us and participate in creating a world that reflects the truth. With open hearts and willing minds, we affirm together. There is only one presence, one power, one activity in my life and in the universe, God the good, omnipotence. We co-create an awakened world of peace, harmony, and abundance. United in love, we provide a positive environment for all people to discover and express their spiritual nature. In August, we celebrate our core value, love. Please join us in speaking the affirmation on the screen together. We see the beauty in each one and in all. We have several pieces of community news to share. Join us after today's service. Carol Cannon will be offering a relaxed music healing event with Himalayan singing bowls from 11:15 to 12:15. Suggested love offering is $20. Mark your calendars. Sunday, September 13th, we'll be hosting a special homecoming service potluck. If you would like to be on the planning committee, please see Reverend Ron or members of the hospitality team. Please check the weekly newsletter for the link for the Sign Up Genius. And a reminder to sign up for our weekly emails and regularly check the calendar, classes, events page on our website for a complete listing of meetings, classes, and events. We encourage you to sign up and receive important phone, text, and email updates such as pastoral care announcements and church choices. And now our daily word will be read by Carol Cannon.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I just looked at this and I see that our daily word for today is joy, which is my adopted middle name. So I'm pleased to see this. And our affirmation is, joy lives in my heart and blesses my life. And let's affirm that together. Joy lives in my heart and blesses my life. Joy lives in me as an aspect of my divine inheritance. I feel it as the love in my heart and the peace in my soul that colors my every experience. Even as the rhythms of life shift, joy is my constant companion. When living feels light, joy is the harmony in my relationships. When the laughter in my celebrations and the satisfaction in my soul. When living feels heavy, joy is still present as my peaceful, bearing, and faith-filled presence. My joy blesses me daily, but it is not for me alone. I share it generously. I rejoice in being a source of light in time of peace and a shelter of times of trouble. I am blessed to live a joyful life. I affirm God's joy is my joy today and in every day. And our scripture passage is taken from the book of Job, chapter 8, verse 21. He will yet fill your mouth with laughter and your lips with shouts of joy. Our daily word is joy.
Please rise as you're able and join us in our singing our congregational song, When I Forget. When I forget, will you remember for me? When I forget, will you remember for me? Help me see what you see when I forget. When I forget, will you remember for me? When I forget, will you remember for me? Help me see what you see when I forget. Sing that again. When I forget, will you remember for me? When I forget, will you remember for me? Help me see what you see when I forget. When I forget, will you remember for me? When I forget, will you remember for me? Help me see what you see when I forget. Help me see what you see. Help me see what you see. Help me see what you see when I forget. Amen. You may be seated.
Jump into a moment of prayer. As we prepare for this time of reflection, we allow ourselves to become still. We release the need to solve or to manage, to understand everything at once, and simply become present to this moment as it is. Breathing gently, we remember that there is no separation between the sacred and the ordinary, no distance between divine presence and the life that we are living now. The Christ within is not somewhere else. Awakened awareness is not somewhere else. Peace is not somewhere else. All are present here within the living field of this moment. So we rest for a breath in simple awareness. We notice what is here without pushing it away. We welcome what arises without needing to cling to it. We allow thoughts to come and go. feelings and circumstances to come and go. And beneath all the movement, we remember the deeper stillness that is not separate from us. This is the ground of equanimity. Not indifference, but presence. Not withdrawal, but an open heart. Not control, but trust. From this center, may we see clearly. May we release what no longer needs to be carried. May we respond rather than react. May peace, compassion, gratitude, and joy be nurtured within and expressed through us. And as we enter this message, may we recognize that the wisdom we seek is already arising within and among us. There is only this sacred moment, this shared life, this one presence expressing as all. And here, in this moment, we are home. And so it is. Amen. So we are continuing our summer series today based on the book We Were Made for These Times by Kyra Julingo. And last Sunday we explored one of the foundational insights of the Buddhist tradition, impermanence. Everything changes. Circumstance changes. Relationships change. Our communities change. Our bodies change. Our understanding changes. The world around us changes. And because life is continually changing, we also reflected on the Buddhist teaching of the 8 worldly winds: pleasure and pain, gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and disrepute. These winds are always moving through our lives. So we welcome, some we resist. Some seem to affirm us, others unsettle us. And much of our suffering arises not simply because circumstances change, but because we become attached to certain circumstances without remaining exactly as we want them to be. We cling to pleasure and resist pain. We celebrate gain and fear loss. We seek praise and become defensive around criticism. We want life to cooperate with our preferences. And then life reminds us that it has never signed that agreement. So today we move into the next spiritual practice on our journey. If life is impermanent, if the worldly winds will continue to blow, if circumstances cannot always be arranged according to our preferences, how do we live with an open heart without being overwhelmed by everything that happens? How do we care deeply without being consumed? How do we remain engaged without becoming reactive? How do we participate in the healing of our relationships and communities and our world without losing our spiritual center? The Buddhist tradition offers a beautiful word for this: equanimity. And alongside equanimity today, we're also going to explore 2 related spiritual practices: letting go and nurturing the good. These 3 belong together. Equanimity creates spaciousness. Letting go releases our grasping. And nurturing the good asks, what kind of consciousness will we cultivate in the space that remains? So let's talk about equanimity for a moment. Equanimity is sometimes defined as an evenness or steadiness of mind, particularly in difficult circumstances. The Buddha described equanimity as a mind that is abundant, immeasurable, and free from hostility and ill will. But we need to be careful here, because equanimity can easily be misunderstood. Equanimity does not mean I don't care. It doesn't mean becoming emotionally detached from life. It doesn't mean suppressing our feelings. It doesn't mean avoiding conflict. And it certainly doesn't mean looking at injustice, suffering, or cruelty and saying, well, everything is impermanent, so none of it really matters. That is not equanimity. That is indifference. True equanimity actually allows us to care more deeply, because our caring is no longer entirely dependent upon circumstances going the way that we want them to go. Equanimity says, I can care without controlling. I can love without possessing. I can participate without demanding a particular outcome. I can witness suffering without turning away. I can work for change without allowing hatred to determine how I work for change. I can acknowledge what is happening without immediately becoming imprisoned by my reaction to it. This is not disengagement, it is grounded engagement. So let's talk about the sacred space between reaction and response. There's a spiritual freedom that becomes available whenever we interrupt automatic reactivity. Something happens, someone says something, we receive news we don't want, someone criticizes us, a plan changes, something frightens us, something threatens our sense of control. And almost immediately the mind begins constructing a response. We judge, we defend, we blame, we catastrophize, we withdraw, we grasp, we push away. Sometimes the reaction happens so quickly that we barely recognize there was ever another possibility. Mindfulness begins to create another possibility, a pause, a breath, a moment of awareness, a little space in consciousness. And within that space, we begin to recognize, I do not have to become my first reaction. I do not have to become my first reaction. I can notice it, I can acknowledge it, I can feel what I feel, and then I can choose how I will respond. From a Buddhist perspective, this is mindfulness interrupting the chain of reactivity. From a unity perspective, we might describe it as shifting from conditioned consciousness into the awareness of the Christ mind. Instead of allowing fear, anger, ego, or habit to make the decision for us, we breathe and return to center. We remember who we are. We listen inwardly. And we ask, what is mine to do from the highest consciousness available to me in this moment? That question can change everything. Not how do I win, not how do I prove that I am right, not how do I make that person change, but what response expresses the Christ in me now? Sometimes the response may be silence, sometimes compassion, sometimes a boundary, sometimes forgiveness, sometimes courageous truth-telling, sometimes action, sometimes waiting. Equanimity does not determine the same response in every circumstance and creates the inner freedom from which a wise response can emerge. Unity gives us another way of understanding this practice. Our spiritual center is not something we manufacture. It is something we remember. Beneath the changing conditions of life is a deeper spiritual identity. Unity calls us Christ consciousness, the divine potential, wisdom, love, peace, and wholeness inherent within every person. When we become overwhelmed, we often identify almost entirely with the circumstance surrounding us. This is happening, therefore I cannot be at peace. They said this, therefore I must be angry. This did not work out, therefore something is wrong. The future is uncertain, therefore I must be afraid. Unity invites us to return to a deeper awareness. Circumstances are real, emotions are real, pain is real, loss is real, uncertainty is real, but none of these constitutes the whole truth of who we are. There is within us a deeper capacity for wisdom, a deeper capacity for peace, a deeper capacity for love. We would call this alignment with divine mind. Equanimity emerges as we learn to live from that deeper center rather than being continually defined by the changing conditions surrounding us. And notice the language, we learn. Equanimity is not something most of us simply decide to have. It is cultivated, practiced, remembered, lost, rediscovered, deepened again and again. And there's another important dimension to this practice. True equanimity cannot be built upon denial. Spiritual balance does not require pretending that everything is beautiful. There is extraordinary beauty in the world, and there is terrible suffering. There is generosity and greed, compassion and cruelty, healing and violence, birth and death, joy and grief. Can I have the next slide, please? A spiritual maturity develops the capacity to remain present to the fullness of life without selectively acknowledging only the parts that support our preferred spiritual worldview. This matters especially in New Thought communities. Sometimes our emphasis upon positive thinking can unintentionally become an avoidance of difficult realities. But unity does not require us to call something good when it is harmful. We are not asked to pretend injustice is justice, or grief is happiness, or illness is health, or cruelty is love. Spiritual consciousness begins with the willingness to see clearly. This is what is happening. then what consciousness will I bring to what is happening? And that distinction matters. Acceptance does not mean approval. Equanimity does not mean passivity. Peace does not mean avoidance. We can acknowledge reality without refusing to surrender our consciousness to fear, hatred, or despair. Jesus offered a powerful expression of this in the Beatitudes from his Sermon on the Mount. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Notice that Jesus did not say, blessed are those who avoid conflict. He says peacemakers. There is movement in that word. Participation, intention, courage. Peacemaking is active. Through a unity lens, to be a peacemaker is to bring the consciousness of peace into places where peace has not yet become visible. And that requires something deeper than simply wanting everybody to get along. It requires inner steadiness. Because if I enter conflict carrying the same reactivity, contempt, fear, and hostility that created the conflict, I may unintentionally strengthen the very consciousness I hope to transform. Equanimity gives peace spiritual strength. It allows us to stand firmly for justice without becoming consumed by hatred, to speak truth without dehumanizing another person, to establish boundaries without abandoning compassion, to care deeply without believing that everything depends upon us. This is active peace, not withdrawal from the world, a different way of being in the world. And this becomes important when we consider the suffering and division present in our world. Someone might reasonably ask, if we become too equanimous, won't we lose the passion necessary to change things? If we stop reacting, won't we become complacent? But there is an important distinction between reaction and response. Reaction is often immediate and unconscious. Response can be intentional and grounded. We can care passionately about justice while remaining spiritually centered. We can grieve suffering without surrendering to despair. We can challenge injustice without allowing hatred to become our spiritual teacher. We can work for change while recognizing that we do not control every outcome. And perhaps most importantly, we can remain open to wisdom beyond our own certainty. The next slide, please. Equanimity includes humility. It acknowledges I care deeply. I will participate faithfully. I will do what is mine to do. And I also recognize that I do not see the whole picture. That humility creates space for grace. It creates room for another perspective. It creates room for divine wisdom. And this is where Buddhist practice and unity metaphysics meet in a particularly meaningful way. Our inner work and our outer work cannot finally be separated. The consciousness we cultivate inwardly becomes the consciousness we bring into our families, workplaces, churches, communities, and our world. If we want greater peace in the world, we must learn something about peace within ourselves. If we want compassion in society, we must practice compassion in our relationships. If we want less reactivity in public life, we must notice our own reactivity. If we want reconciliation, we must become people capable of listening. If we want justice rooted in human dignity, we must practice seeing dignity even when we strongly disagree. This does not mean that every problem in the world can be solved through individual spiritual practice. But it does mean that the consciousness from which we act matters. Our inner transformation influences our outer participation. We bring ourselves wherever we go. And so our spiritual practice is not to escape from the world. It is participation from meeting the world differently. Equanimity naturally leads us into the second practice, letting go. Last week we reflected on impermanence. We saw that much suffering arises from craving and aversion. We want some experience to remain. We want others to disappear. We grasp, we resist, we attempt to negotiate with reality. Letting go is the gradual release of that struggle. It does not mean that we stop having preferences. It means our preferences no longer have absolute authority over our peace. And there is tremendous spiritual freedom in being able to say, this is not how I wanted this moment to be, and then this is how this moment is. And then perhaps, can I meet this moment without adding another layer of resistance to it? This is not how I want this moment to be, and yet this is how this moment is, can I meet this moment without adding another layer of resistance to it? That does not mean that we will never work to change the circumstances. We may, but first we become present to what actually is here, happening here. This is where equanimity allows us to rest, at least temporarily, in not knowing. I don't know how this will unfold. I don't know what comes next. I don't know whether the outcome I want is the outcome that will occur. And I don't need to know everything in this moment. I can be here. I can listen. I can remain open. I can take the next faithful step. Sometimes what we need most to release is not the circumstance itself. It is our insistence that we know how this circumstance should resolve. This is subtle. We may pray for guidance while secretly giving Spirit detailed instructions. We may say we are open while already having decided what the correct answer may be or must be. We may ask for divine guidance while remaining attached to our preferred outcome. Letting go asks something more of us. It asks, can I participate wholeheartedly without demanding control? Can I bring my intelligence, experience, and compassion, creativity, and faith to this moment and still remain open? This is particularly important in seasons of discernment. There are times when the faithful response, spiritual response, is not immediate certainty. Sometimes it is spaciousness, listening, waiting, allowing clarity to emerge rather than forcing it. In unity language, this is not passivity. It is trust in the activity of divine mind expressing within and among us. And this brings us to the third movement of today's message, nurturing the good. Equanimity creates space. Letting go releases what no longer needs to be carried. But spiritual practice does not end with emptiness. We consciously choose what we will cultivate. This is where unity has something particularly powerful to contribute. Unity teaches that consciousness is formative. What we consistently hold in mind matters. What we repeatedly give our attention to matters. Can I have the next slide, please? Paul writes in the letter to the Philippians, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, think about these things. This is not an invitation to deny suffering. Paul's life certainly contained suffering. It is an invitation to become intentional about the consciousness we cultivate. And there is a difference between being informed about suffering and allowing suffering to become the only thing our consciousness knows how to see. There is a difference between recognizing injustice and feeding continual outrage. There is a difference between acknowledging difficulty and rehearsing despair. The spiritual question becomes, what am I strengthening through my attention? What am I strengthening through my attention? Because what we nurture grows stronger. Every day we cultivate something, peace or agitation, compassion or judgment, gratitude or resentment, trust or chronic anxiety, generosity or scarcity, presence or distraction. Again, this is not about judging ourselves. It's about becoming conscious. Because once we become conscious of what we are practicing, we gain the freedom to practice something else. If we continually rehearse resentment, resentment becomes easier. If we continually practice gratitude, gratitude becomes more available. If we continually respond with judgment, judgment becomes habitual. If we practice pausing before reacting, eventually that pause becomes more natural. Spiritual formation happens through repetition. What we practice becomes easier to access. And this is why prayer matters, meditation and silence matter, gratitude matters, compassion and forgiveness matter, mindfulness matters. Not because these practices make us spiritually superior, but because they shape the consciousness through which we meet life. What would it mean to consciously nurture peace? Not to wait until circumstances become peaceful, to practice peace now. Perhaps by pausing before responding. Perhaps by becoming aware of the stories we repeatedly tell ourselves. Perhaps by reducing the amount of unnecessary agitation we consume. Perhaps by sitting in the silence long enough to remember that beneath the noise of thought, there is another dimension of consciousness. Unity teaches that peace is already an attribute of our divine nature. We do not create divine peace. We become available to it, which leads to nurturing compassion. What would it mean to nurture compassion? Perhaps beginning with ourselves, recognizing our limits without condemnation, recognizing that sometimes we are tired, sometimes afraid, sometimes uncertain, sometimes reactive. And instead of adding judgment to difficulty, offering ourselves understanding, then extending that compassion outward. Not because every behavior is acceptable, but because every human being is more than their worst moment. Compassion allows us to see clearly without needing to dehumanize. And next, nurturing gratitude. Gratitude is another way we train our consciousness. Gratitude does not say everything is wonderful. Gratitude says, even here, there is something worthy of reverence, something beautiful, something generous, something alive. Something reminds me that difficulty is never the entire story. Gratitude expands our field of vision, which leads to nurturing joy. Joy can feel almost irresponsible in difficult times, but joy is not a denial of suffering. Joy reminds us that suffering does not possess the whole field of existence. Beauty remains, love remains, friendship remains, creativity remains, laughter remains, kindness remains, the sacred remains. To cultivate joy is not to turn away from suffering. It is to refuse to let suffering to become the only truth we are capable of perceiving. So a lot to process. So how do we practice this? Perhaps this week we practice something very simple. When you notice yourself becoming reactive, pause. Become aware of the breath. Notice what is happening within you without immediately trying to change it. And inwardly say, this moment is like this. Then I do not have to react immediately. And finally, what does love ask of me now? This moment is like this. I do not have to react immediately. What does love ask of me now? Not fear, not ego, not habit, not the need to win. What does love ask of me now? Perhaps nothing more is needed than several breaths. And from that spaciousness, allow the next response to emerge. Can I have the next slide, please? There are several traditional style intentions that can help orient the heart toward equanimity. We might adapt them in language consistent with our shared unity and Buddhist practice, and they would sound like this. May I see clearly what is here. May I release my fixation on how things must be. May I care deeply without needing to control the outcome. May I recognize my limits with compassion. May I remember that another person's journey is not mine to control. May I remain open beyond preference and prejudice. May I bring a peaceful heart and clear mind to what is mine to do. May I trust the wisdom of divine presence expressing within and among us. And may all beings know the freedom of an awakened and compassionate heart. This is about living from center. This is the invitation of equanimity. Not that nothing disturbs us, not that we never become angry, not that we never grieve, not that we never feel afraid, not that we somehow float above the messiness of human existence. Rather, we discover that we can return again and again and again. We can come home to the sacred center within. We can pause, we can breathe, we can listen. We can release our insistence that life conform to our expectations. And from that deeper place, we can choose what we will nurture. Peace, compassion, gratitude, joy, courage, wisdom, and love. These are not qualities we impose upon ourselves from the outside. They are capacities of our divine nature waiting to be expressed. So perhaps the question we carry with us this week is not, how can I make everything around me peaceful? This may be beyond our control. Instead, how can I bring a peaceful, awakened consciousness to what is before me? Not how can I control what happens, but how can I faithfully meet what happens? Not how can I eliminate every difficult situation and every difficult feeling, but how can I hold what arises with compassion and wisdom? Not how can I make everyone else behave differently, but what is mine to practice? This is equanimity, a steady mind, an open heart, a willingness to see clearly, a capacity to care without controlling, a freedom from compulsive reactivity, a willingness to act where action is called for and release where release is called for. And then from that grounded place, we nurture what we want to bring forth. We nurture peace because peace is part of our divine inheritance. We nurture compassion because we belong to one another. We nurture gratitude because even amid difficulty, life continues offering itself. We nurture joy because joy is one expression of the divine life within us. We nurture love because love is what we are here to embody. This is how inner transformation becomes outer transformation. This is how spiritual practice becomes spiritual living. This is how the Christ within becomes visible through us. And perhaps this is one of the deepest meanings of the title of our series that we were made for these times. Not because we have all the answers, not because difficult circumstances cannot touch us, not because we can control what comes next, but because within us is a spiritual capacity to meet these times with awareness, to release what keeps us bound, to remain open-hearted without becoming overwhelmed, and to nurture the good that is seeking expression through us. Centered in divine presence, we can meet this moment as it is, and from that center, we can offer what this moment needs. Deep breath. Centered in this divine presence, we can meet this moment as it is, and from that center, we can offer what this moment needs. If you remember nothing else, remember that. Can I have the next slide, please? I'm going to invite you to join me in affirming the affirmation on the screen. Let's affirm together. Centered in the Christ within, I meet life with an open and steady heart. I release what I cannot control and respond with wisdom to what is mine to do. I nurture peace, compassion, gratitude, and joy. Through me, divine love finds expression in the world, and so it is. With that, let's move into a time of meditation with the song, Our Thoughts, Our Prayers.
Our thoughts are prayers, the tools that we create with. Our thoughts are prayers that spirit resonates with. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of mindfulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
Let's begin by centering down into presence. For these next few moments, there is nowhere else to be, nothing else to accomplish, nothing that needs to be solved. Simply allow yourself to arrive fully in this moment. Gently acknowledging any tension that you may be carrying and lovingly allowing it to soften. Let the activity of the mind begin to settle. Let the concerns of the day loosen their hold. And allow the breath to become natural and easy. Breathing in, resting, and receiving in this moment. Breathing out, releasing what does not need to be carried right now. Again, breathing in presence, and breathing out release. And once more, breathing in, resting more deeply in the sacred center within. And breathing out, letting go. There's nothing you need to force, nothing you need to manufacture. You're simply remembering the presence that has always been here all along. a presence deeper than circumstance, deeper than thought, deeper than the changing conditions of life. Here in the quiet center of your being, divine life is present. Divine wisdom, divine love, divine peace is present. And you are not separate from this presence. You are an expression of it. Rest here for a moment in this steady center. Life is always moving. Circumstances change, plans change, feelings change, relationships change. The world changes. Some changes we welcome, others we resist. And yet beneath all that comes and goes, there is a deeper spiritual ground within us, the Christ presence, the sacred center of our being. That within us, which we can observe the movement of life without becoming lost in it. We are not separate. We are one with the divine. So we move through changing circumstances, changing emotions, changing seasons of life. But beneath every change, divine life remains the ground of our being. We do not have to create our spiritual center. We return to it. We rest in it. And from that deeper awareness, we allow the word equanimity to arise gently within us. A steady heart, a spacious mind, a grounded presence. Not indifference, not detachment from life, not the absence of feeling, but the ability to remain open-hearted without becoming overwhelmed. The ability to care deeply without needing to control. The ability to remain present without being pulled automatically into reaction. Perhaps there is something in your life right now that feels unresolved. Something you wish were different, something uncertain, something you cannot control. There is no need to analyze it. Simply allow it to come gently into your awareness and inwardly affirm this moment is as it is. And pause. I do not need to solve everything right now. And pause. I can meet this moment from the peace within me. And allow yourself to breathe. Perhaps there is something you have been holding tightly, an expectation, an outcome, a worry, a conversation replayed again and again, a picture of how life is supposed to unfold. Without judgment, simply notice. And now gently release your grasp. You do not have to know what comes next. You do not have to force an answer. You do not have to carry every possibility into this moment. Quietly affirm, I release what I cannot control. I release what I cannot control. And feel the spaciousness begins to appear when everything no longer has to be resolved at once. And now into this spaciousness, become aware of what you choose to nurture. Perhaps peace, or compassion, or gratitude, or joy, or courage, or trust. There is no need to strain. These qualities are not foreign to you. They are already capacities of your divine nature. We simply give them our attention. So quietly affirm, I nurture peace. And pause. I nurture compassion. Pause. I nurture gratitude. Pause. I nurture joy. And pause. Notice how consciousness responds when attention turns toward what is life-giving, not denying what is difficult, not pretending that everything is as we would wish it to be, simply remembering that difficulty is never the whole of reality. Love is here, wisdom is here, beauty is here, peace and joy are here. The Christ's presence is here. And now even these words begin to fall away. Nothing more needs to be said. Nothing needs to be figured out. We allow ourselves to rest beneath thought, beneath effort, beneath the need to name the experience. Unity has long called this sacred inner resting place the silence. The silence is not empty. It is spacious, alive, whole. Here we release the effort to become peaceful. We simply rest in the peace that already is. So with another deep breath, allow yourself now to enter the silence. Rest in the sacred center. Rest in presence. Rest in the awareness of the one life expressing as you, as me, as all creation. And for these next few moments, simply be in the silence. Now very gently begin to bring awareness once again to this time and space. And there is no need to leave the silence behind. The silence is not somewhere you went. It is a dimension of presence that you remembered. And so we return slowly, carrying the stillness with us. Become aware of the natural rhythm of your breathing. Notice the spaciousness within. Notice whatever quality of peace or openness is present without needing the experience to be anything other than what it is. And as awareness expands, allow yourself to remember that the same presence experienced in stillness remains available in activity. The same wisdom is available when a difficult conversation arises. The same peace is available when plans change. The same spaciousness is available when emotions become strong. The same Christ presence is here when the world feels uncertain. We do not return to life without challenges. We return remembering who we are within them. We return knowing that we can pause, we can breathe, we can listen, we can release, we can choose again. And we can ask in this and every moment, what does love ask of me now? Allow that question to become a companion for the days ahead. What does love ask of me now? Perhaps to speak, perhaps to listen, perhaps to act, perhaps to wait, perhaps to forgive, perhaps to establish a boundary, perhaps simply to remain present. We trust that divine wisdom reveals the next faithful step as we remain centered and receptive. And gradually, as you're ready, begin to bring your awareness back fully into this room. bringing with you a steady mind, an open heart, and a renewed awareness of the presence that lives and moves and expresses as you. And I invite you to hold this affirmation and carry it with you. Centered in the Christ within, I meet life with a steady and open heart. I release what I cannot control. I nurture peace, compassion, gratitude, and joy. Divine wisdom guides my response, and divine love expresses through me. And so it is. Peace be with you. Namaste.
As we return from this time of meditation, we carry the awareness of divine presence within us. One of the ways we give expression to that presence is through the sharing of our gifts. We give not from obligation, but from gratitude and from a desire to support the spiritual good that continues to unfold through our shared ministry. And so, if you are blessed by this ministry of Unity Lehigh Valley, we invite you to prayerfully consider investing in the ministry through a reoccurring weekly or monthly gift. Your faithful support provides a foundation that allows us to continue offering inspiring services, enriching programs and opportunities for spiritual growth, and blessed lives throughout our community. There are several ways to contribute. Use the QR code shown on the giving slide. Click the donate button at the top of our website, unityoflehighvalley.org, or set up a recurring weekly, monthly contribution directly through your bank, or mail a check to Unity of Lehigh Valley. For those worshiping with us in the sanctuary today, please place your offering in the silver bowl in the back of the sanctuary. If you have any questions about giving or establishing a reoccurring gift, please contact the church office by phone or email. We bless the gifts by affirming together, the activity of Spirit through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
So this is your friendly reminder that you can place prayer requests in the box at the back of the room, and they will be circulated among our prayer chaplain team. They will be prayed over all week, probably longer, and then they will go out to Silent Unity for an additional 30 days of prayer. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today, both in person and online, and for helping to co-create this sacred space where we can support each other in our awakening. As we go forth today, may we carry a steady heart into a changing world. May we be peaceful. May we be whole. May we be free from fear and unnecessary suffering. May we awaken more fully to the divine life within. May those we love know peace. May those we love know struggle, or know peace rather than struggle. May those whose lives are unknown to us know peace. May all beings be held in compassion. May all beings awaken to their inherent wholeness. May all beings know that we belong to one another within the one life. May the Christ life within us become visible through the love we offer, the compassion we embody, and the peace we bring wherever we go. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. May all beings awaken to love. And so it is. Amen.
Please rise and join us in our circle. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only only love. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, brothers and sisters all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. As the light of God we shine. As the love of God we embrace. As the power of God we stand in truth. As the presence of God we radiate love.